The warehouse of the future, mapping a route to success. Joining us today to speak about that, Shawn Cavasos, Client Executive, System Sales at Vargo. Shawn, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Shawn, right now we're experiencing a labor shortage in the warehouse and throughout much of the industry, quite frankly. Many companies are looking at technologies to help them deal with that shortage. I guess the question to you and to your company is, how is it that you can most effectively invest in the right technologies? How can you most effectively evaluate the right technologies so you know what to use going forward to try to deal with that shortage that we just talked about? What do you say?
Right. You can't go it alone. It's fast moving. There's a lot of new technologies in the marketplace. Many of them are unproven and have not been around very long. We would recommend, finding an integrator partner is the route that we would propose. Integrators have their objective. They don't manufacture or are a source for these technologies, and they work with them every day. And so we are full-time evaluating those technologies and their specific requirements of the clients and how they would best fit into those situations.
That goes to the argument that one should be concentrating on one's core competency and then turning over to others, outsource to others, expertise that you don't necessarily have. So whatever your competency is, whatever the core product is that you're manufacturing or et cetera, you want to, in this case, find an integrator that is able to point you in the direction of the right technologies to implement. Is that correct?
That's correct. And there's not one-stop shop. There's not a single technology that's going to do everything that you want it to do in your building. So what we're finding is, in today's world, you're gonna ultimately have multiple technologies, and the key is to have those technologies work together to give you the end result that you're looking for. And so integrating those technologies is extremely important. So it's not a one-stop shop.
Well, clearly today, one of the things that's top of mind for folks is, do we need robotics? Do we need to implement that type of technology? Storage and retrieval systems, certainly we may need that. Various other technologies. Walk us through some of the ones that people need to be considering.
Most of folks are looking, because of the labor shortage in the marketplace and increased sales and online sales specifically. This year, I recently read a statistic that $9.5 billion in online sales on just Cyber Monday alone. And so we're just now scratching the surface, I think, with the online e-com sales. And so, there's a variety of technologies out there. The ASRS you mentioned, great for dense storage, shrinking the space that you may need in an overall warehouse. Maybe order accuracy and labor, taking labor out of the building, it would help you in that capacity. But there's other technologies that are not necessarily a one-to-one ratio, so they're not eliminating labor, one robot to one employee. What we're seeing is you may have one employee with 3 robots or one employee manning 3 robotic arm type stations. And so you're able to take some headcount out, but not totally eliminate headcount.
Mm-hmm. Automated put walls, something else that occurs to me, high-speed loop sortation, number of things that companies may be looking at and considering, right?
Absolutely right. And everybody's excited about the robots and that technology. Again, it's not proven, and there's not necessarily a fit. The application doesn't necessarily fit everybody's needs. And so we're getting a lot of folks coming to us looking for that shiny new toy, or they want to put that in because they read about it in a business journal, or they've seen it in other places, not understanding how it's used and if it's applicable to their particular business. So there again, an integrator can help with that assessment and make sure that it's truly a fit for their business.
When you're looking at some of these technologies, I guess the question is, what kind of constraints might they create?
It goes back to a comment I made earlier with multiple technologies working in unison in a single site. A WES, which is now a buzzword in the industry, an execution system truly is the conductor, if you will, of that type of activity in a building. So we've had a lot of success in the WES space with helping to connect those new technologies, maybe with prior technology, and helping it all to work together.
So it's going to help them integrate and manage all those various
That's right, the workflow in the overall workflow in the building.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I took a note in something you and I were talking about earlier. We're talking about automating the fundamentals of receiving, storing, replenishing, picking, packing, all of these things. Clearly, this is something where integration is crucial. Is that right?
Absolutely right.
Walk us through that.
I mean, the traditional WMS doesn't have that capability. That's not what it was designed to do. And so again, the WES is not a duplication of WMS. It's truly an execution system. Orders would drop into that from a WM, and then it would decide real time in a dynamic environment where the activity, the most important activity in that building is next. And it is assigning tasks to the floor, again, in real time, based on the resources available to it.
So, you know, if I want to implement something like that in my operation, I've got to get, clearly I've got to get buy-in from Chief Financial Officer, because they've got to authorize the investment. So if they were to ask you, give me a laundry list now of the benefits that I'm going to receive, that the company is going to have by dint of this implementation, what would you tell them? Because one of the things that they're going to say is, you know, we spent a lot of money on a WMS.
Right.
So tell me why I need this WES. What do you say?
Well, in today's world with the e-com, same day delivery, next day delivery, you know, in by X time, out by X time, a WMS does not provide that functionality. It wasn't designed that way. And the execution systems, really, that's their focus, is to execute that work more efficiently and in real time to meet those carrier pickup times, the SLA requirements that you may have. And so as those orders flow in throughout the day, it dynamically processes those. And so the highest priority work is always being allocated to the floor at any given time. And so that you can't get that functionality from a WMS.
Well, not only have we talked about various technologies, but we've talked about the importance of working with an integrator. You make a great argument there. Shawn, I know you're busy here at the conference, but you found time to speak with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Shawn Cavasos, Vargo, speaking with us today about the warehouse of your future. Thanks for watching.